So yes, I'm married. I got married at 26. I got married quite young. I've been with the same woman for ages. In fact, this is another sort of little personal thing, but I tell you because it's quite uncommon these days in my generation. Anyway, I actually lost my virginity to the woman I ended up marrying. It's not quite as sad as it sounds. But it's pretty fucking close to that. We're both in our 30s now, and one of the things that happens, if anyone's in a long-term relationship and you haven't got kids yet, when you hit 30, the pressure to have kids just goes, and it's ridiculous because 30 is just a number, you know. How do you know that suddenly you hit 30 and you're suddenly endowed with all the attributes a parent needs, you know, like selflessness and... like when I hit 30, I remember an example, my 30th birthday dinner. I remember the sort of stuff we were talking about. The main conversation at my birthday dinner was about what our last words would be. We all thought it was really important to have really kick-ass final words, just in case, you know, we died sooner than we thought. We wanted to make sure we had something really good locked in. And all I could come up with was, who's the world going to revolve around now? That's kind of where I was at. And it's ridiculous, because this pressure to have kids, you'd expect it from your parents and from the ticking of your biological clock or whatever, but the main pressure is good old-fashioned peer pressure, you know, like what you got smoking for in your teens, because all your mates are having kids and you feel like, oh, I'm not part of the cool club anymore, I should have a human too, and it's ridiculous, because... Here you are at 30 suffering peer pressure, and it's worse than ever, mostly, I think, because of digital technology. Because all my friends had cool little digital cameras because they're so cheap and accessible these days, and they're very proud, so I take as many photos as they want. Oh, no, there's absolutely no limit to the number of photos I can take. And I have broadband internet, you know, digital technology, and so every morning I wake up and there, sure enough, attached to an email is another 10 by 8 high-resolution colour photograph of another fucking miracle, you know. And eventually it wears you down. It breaks you, these photos, you know, and you find yourself having this inevitable conversation that you thought you'd never have. You know, the one, what are we waiting for? You know, it's never going to be the right time. It's always going to be tough. It's always going to be financially difficult. But why don't we just do it? Why don't we just buy a digital camera? So we did. We bought one. Woo. And soon after, almost it seems as a result, we had a child. I know, it's something about biology I don't understand, but she's great. I've got a baby. She's 5 months now. She's really tiny. It seems she's largely our responsibility. One of the things that having a kid stops you doing is having a lot of sex. Initially, because the toilet bits aren't working very well, because it's quite traumatic on the toilet bits. But so I say toilet bits a few more times. That is in general usage, isn't it? You do all call your genitals your toilet bits, don't you? Don't tell me I've made a horrible faux pas. Turns out that only I call them my toilet bits. Anyway, the other reason you don't have sex is just because your focus has changed. But I want to tell you a story because it actually happened, unlike most of the crap that I talk about on stage. I was away doing a few shows, and my wife and my child were in Melbourne. And when I was away from my child, suddenly my sexual self re-arose, and I thought, I should, you know, maybe start a little bit of flirting with my wife in the hope that when I got back to Melbourne, we'd just hop straight back on it, you know. So I thought, being a poet, I chose a text message as my missive of choice, and I sent her a message that I love you in a sexy way. That'll work. And she sent me one back almost immediately that said, the baby just vomited in my mouth. So that was fine, you know. I got the message. I went home and cried while I masturbated. Speaking of sex, as I want to do a lot at the moment, One of the things that actually, if you're in a really long-term relationship, like increasingly, for me anyway, as I get on in this relationship, I find myself getting more and more sexually paranoid. Not with my wife, we're totally fine apart from the drought. But what I worry about is if I ever had to perform sexually with another woman, like with someone else, if I had to be sexual with someone else, like if something happened to my marriage, like, I don't know, if my wife died in an accident or something. Sorry, I don't find that funny. That's just my dark sense of humour. I do understand that that's... yeah, she's not borrowing my fucking last words. She dies in an accident, she can think of her own. And anyway, that wouldn't make sense because it revolves around me. I shouldn't say that sort of stuff about my wife. Even if she didn't die, even if she, like, got a degenerative disease, and I decided that rather than look after her myself, I should put her in a home so that I could move on with my life. These things happen and you have to plan for them, that's all I'm saying. And when I'm planning for this stuff, and I consider having sex with another woman, what I get paranoid about is how do I know if what I'm doing sexually at the moment is normal? Because as far as I understand, my wife and I have a perfectly run-of-the-mill sort of sexual relationship, but you never know, because we've been together for a really long time. We might have just sort of just drifted from the norm, you know, just bit by bit, so we didn't notice. This is a scenario I play out in my head where I'm out with a new girl and we're having a great time, and I don't know, we're at a bar or something and we've had a few drinks and maybe it's our third date. It really doesn't matter. But the bar closes and I pluck up the courage to ask her back to my place, and she says yes, so we go back to my place and I pour some more drinks and put on some music and some lamps. And that obviously works, and we end up on the couch and we kiss, and a little bit under the jumper action, some heavy petting, and then passion overwhelms us and we stumble to the bedroom, tearing off each other's clothes, and I get out the Mickey Mouse ears and a length of bungee rope, and obviously the hungry, hungry hippos. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she's like, "What are you doing?" Huh? I thought we were just going to make love. Yeah? Right. Well, why don't you just put all that stuff away, just for a minute, just put it down, and just come over here and just touch me. Touch you. Before you've pissed in the hippos. I don't know what kind of weird shit you're into, lady. But if you don't piss in the hippos, how do you know who surfs first?